Hello, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Of course, here once again to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I will tell you who's coming up on the show here in just a little bit. Let me just tweak things a little bit here. There we go. That's kind of what I was looking for. Cliff, good morning. How are you? Appreciate you, as always, joining us on just about every live stream that I do, whether it's Behind the Mic or Wednesday Night Live. Joel, good morning. Nice to have you along with us. Appreciate it on a rainy, kind of a dreary Wednesday morning. Let's hope that the rain holds off. Got a big high school softball game tonight with my granddaughter, Addison. Mike, always a pleasure, my friend. How are you? Spring has indeed arrived. Uncle Johnny, how you doing, buddy? Hello, Jim. Appreciate you joining me on this edition of Behind the Mic here from the Outdoor Magazine radio studio, along with Tim Binns, my Mr. Google. Jerry checking in from Algonac. Hello, Mike. How are you? Appreciate you joining me, Rob. Thank you to you as well. Coffee, caffeine. Hello, Corey. Corey, I will let you know. I'm talking with Corey Phillips and also my buddy Scott, two guys who have graciously allowed access to their property, trying to get my grandson Trent a bird this spring. His schedule has been a little bit challenging, but we'll figure it out. We'll get out there. Ruben checking in from Colorado. Good morning. Elliot, glad to see a doe with a bow return to the UP. But does that include, let me ask you this, Elliot, does that include crossbows? Or are crossbows still not allowed during the late season? I know that archers in the UP can now take a doe during the bow season, but what about crossbows during the late season? Rick, good morning. How are you? Jim says, too much rain on the radar this morning. He stayed home. John, just getting in the woods after 3 weeks. Bruce, good luck to you, John. Bruce, good morning. And Liberty and Independence hunts return to normal. Normal being those hunters can take an antlered buck. Hello, Craig. How you doing, buddy? Always a pleasure to have you along with us. Craig, have you signed up for the second annual Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outing yet? Hello, Josh. I have not put in for my Michigan Bear Tag yet. I will. I'm applying for a point only. My first guest on this week's show is Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer, talking about what's the process? And, not that Johnny has an inside knowledge on the process, but should you make contact with a Michigan Bear guide as you're applying for the tag or before, or should you wait till you get your tag? Johnny has some thoughts on that. Lee, good morning. Elliot, crossbows are allowed. Are they allowed in the late season, Elliot? Thank you for that information, Elliot. Are they allowed in the late season? Elliot says, as far as my understanding. Excellent. Cap, good morning. Oh, okay. No golf this year. Have to work since the other engineer is on vacation. Well, Craig, I'm disappointed in that, but I certainly understand. Jim may hit the piers tonight casting for walleye. Disappointed, Craig, but certainly understand. By the way, if you want to be a part of the second annual Mike Avery Outdoors Charity Golf Outing Friday, July 25th, go to mucc.org/golf. You can sign up, and we will raise money to support MUCC's youth camp. How cool is that? Bill Hoffman, the most interesting man in Michigan. Yes, archery, yes, allowed as archery equipment. So help me out, though, guys. Does this include, and maybe I'm beating a dead horse here, but does this include the late season? Mark, good morning. How are you? Craig says, however, I will see you on that Saturday at the AQ Owners Tournament. How do you know I'm going to be there, Craig? Maybe I will have decided to stay in West Branch and golf for the weekend. Not. I will be at the AQ, and this will be, what, the 6th annual AQ Owners Tournament? I almost went like this, Quest QUEST, because I've been wearing my Angler Quest QUEST hoodie lately. Good morning, Jim. How are you? Thanks for joining me on this edition of Behind the Mic. Tommy, good morning, buddy. How are you? My name is Mike Avery. I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's show. I will tell you who's coming up on the show shortly. Did I have Jordan from the UP on yet? I have had him on before. I have not had him on lately. He just sent me an email recently, and let me know that he is the chairman of the UP Deer Advisory Committee. So he indeed would be an excellent guest. I like the way Jordan thinks, and we'll be happy to have him on as a guest. Jim talking to Craig. Blanks are in California. Hopefully I'll have him this week. Jim, good morning. How are you? Because this Jim is making custom lures. John says, I wish I could watch you tonight, but I have a meeting that I have to make. Well, you know what? I'm not sure what Wednesday Night Live will look like tonight. My granddaughter has a softball game, a rare Wednesday night softball game, and it's a Midland Dow High crosstown rivalry game. So we'll see. Next Wednesday night, there will definitely not be a Wednesday Night Live, as I will be watching 2 of my grandchildren graduate on that Wednesday night. So there will not be a Wednesday Night Live 1 week from tonight. Jerry says the Cornwall Dam is in the works to get repaired instead of torn down. I think that's good news, isn't it, Jerry? It'll make some people happy. I think it'll make a lot of people happy. There was and Jerry, was this because of the public outcry over this whole thing? I wonder. Eli, good morning. How are you? So we are right in the middle now of the May mosquito season for turkey hunting. Have not been out since we last talked. We were going to hunt. My grandson Trent's been out of town. I told him I would not hunt without him this year. He got back late Friday night, had a softball game in Detroit Saturday. Sunday was going to hunt, and then remembered it was Mother's Day. So I told Trent, I'm not hunting on Mother's Day, Trent. I'm going to stay here with your grandma. So we went golfing, and there was a bird that gobbled all afternoon. Drove me crazy. And then on the 17th green, I see this son of a gun walk across the green as we're approaching the green. I think he was telling me, Avery, you should have gone hunting instead of golfing. Steve, any thoughts on the Roundup sprayed up by the Betsy? No, because I don't know anything about it. I am ignorant to that. Vaughn, good morning. How are you? Jerry says he's got an appointment with the river tonight. Jim, good morning. How are you? Tim says, I'm so old and out of touch. Graduation already. The year is flying by. It is. So next Wednesday evening, no Wednesday Night Live, as I'm watching 2 of my grandkids graduate from high school. And my newest grandson is now 7.5 months old. And I actually have some more family baby news, but I'm not going to announce it yet. Phil, good morning. How are you? Dave, nice to have you along with us, as always. Okay, coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer, talks about the relationship between Michigan bear hunters and their guide. We'll also spend a few minutes talking about brook trout fishing in the UP. Now, I'm praying Johnny has a good cell signal. You never know. And then Keel Jorgensen of Woods and Water News joins me to talk about the next edition. Hour number 2, Joel Anderson of Anderson's Pro Bait in Port Huron. talking about fishing that side of the state. Then Lisa Jackson of the DNR. She's the expert on the whole bear elk application process, cluster, whatever you want to call it. We will talk about that. Then they ask Avery question. I have no idea what that's going to be. Anybody want to pose a question to me? And in hour number 3, we're talking fawns with Chad Stewart from the Michigan DNR. Now, here is my take on whitetail fawns. They're beautiful. Don't ever pick them up. I can think of one reason. If you're running a haybine in a hayfield and you see a fawn laying in the path that you're going to crunch, pick it up and move it. But don't take it home. I can never see a reason ever to pick up or take home a whitetail fawn. Hey, Art, come in here if you would, please, because this will give us a chance to promote tomorrow's discussion, because I'm with you tomorrow. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Art Lewis.
Hello there.
The man of the hour, the man of the decade, the man of the lifetime, member of the Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
I brought you pictures of the turkeys across the street from my house.
Why don't you put them in your backyard and let me hunt them? Art, how's it going? How's your spring?
Fantastic. Busy.
Busy's good, though, right?
Yeah, busy's good.
Yeah,
busy good.
And then I'll be joining you tomorrow, right, John?
Tomorrow
Art, for your show? Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. What are we going to talk about?
Well, why would I tell you that?
You're really good at that, too. Mike, while we're shooting the breeze about the really stuff that has no meaning at all, tell me about your thoughts on this issue.
That's right.
Okay, Art.
See you tomorrow.
All right, buddy. Ross Elliott says, say hello to Art.
Hello, Ross.
He says hello. Okay, let me go back to some of these. Rob checking in from the north. The snow is finally gone. Walleye opener this weekend. Jim says, I was a commercial aquatic certified applicator. It would take a lot of chemical to run fish off. Would have had to be a serious spill or a mess up. Thank you for that, Jim. Uncle Johnny says, why is it that we always see big toms over golfing? Good question. Good morning, Randy. Craig, fished Erie last weekend, 10 walleye between 18 and 22 inches. Excellent. I think your angler quest is in the water. Have you been in the bay yet? I hear the bay's on fire. I don't know yet because I'm still waiting for, I don't want to say still. I'm waiting for a boat. Rob says, been busy at the shop. Eli, looking forward to working cottage this summer in the UP. Excellent. Hello, Judy. Good morning. How are you? The mosquitoes were horrible trout fishing this morning. They are out in the black flies as well. Ugh. John says, that is a cluster, but you cannot post it here. Well, yeah. Even a few crawlers. Ross says, good morning. Same with baby rabbits. Just leave them alone. My reason for points only this year is that I got my Michigan bear tag last year. And I think what I want to do is go to White River, Ontario this summer and bear hunt there. Ideally, my plan would be to hunt Ontario one year and hunt Michigan the next year. You can only do that if you are willing to apply for a third season in parts of the UP as I am, because then you can more than likely get a tag every other year. Okay, so going back to picking up fawns, I don't care if you see a fresh doe kill in the road and she's giving birth as her last thing here on Earth. Not that does go to heaven. I don't know why I said that. I still can't see a reason to pick the thing up. Well, yeah, Avery, if I leave it there, the fawn might not survive or coyotes might get it. Okay. Which is better for a whitetail fawn? That they should become part of Mother Nature, the natural world, the natural cycle, or that you should bring it home, illegally, by the way, and try to raise the animal and raise it in captivity and raise it as a pet? Which is better for that animal? To be part of the natural world, even if it means being coyote food, or growing up in your backyard as a puppy? And don't forget, it is illegal to pick up whitetail fawns. Every year, people do it. Have I had a chance to talk about the differences in early and late turkey hunting? The differences are huge. Hunting the mosquito season is like a completely different hunt than hunting the early seasons. Number one, the leaves are out, so your visibility is less. Number two, the mosquitoes are out, so your comfort level is less. But number three, the birds are far more active and vocal and cooperative in the second part of May because the hens are sitting on nests by now. The toms are out looking. They will gobble midday. They will respond midday. They will come into your calls. It's like a different hunt. And I'm hoping that Trent and I can take advantage of that in these next couple of weeks because, like I said, his availability has been limited, and we have a lot of family obligations coming up with graduations and stuff that will do their part to keep me out of the turkey woods. But, it is what it is. I mean, hey, God, family, country, right? God first, family second, country third. That takes priority over everything. And it's a pretty exciting spring for us with two of my grandkids graduating from high school. How did that happen? They were just little. Good morning, Jerry. How are you? John, nice to see you, buddy. I'm waiting for the marina to check out my motor just to make sure everything is okay. Northeast wind blowing and busy this weekend, so no hurry. Northeast winds this spring. Kind of ridiculous. Hey, Craig? Kind of ridiculous. I hope that's not a sign of what the summertime is going to bring. Gap JT got to get out Saturday. 2-man limit, 2 hours was nice to get out. Absolutely. Jim says, you're welcome. I will field any questions that I work for the DNR treated Phragmites and brush in most of the refuges. Good morning, Johnny Bowler. Circle of Life. Good morning, Johnny Bowler. I'll be talking to you shortly. I was just telling our friends here that you're my first guest this week. Rocky, love that name. Friend's daughter shot a beautiful turkey yesterday. Can I send pictures for you to post? Please do. Please do. But Rocky, send those pictures to me this way in an email, a good old-fashioned email. Send them to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. When there's a kid involved, I will use the hashtag #ForwardFuelsTradition, and they will be eligible to win a $50 gift card to the Forward convenience stores, just as little Joe Grillo won here earlier in the week. Good luck to you as well, Tommy. Mad Jack, good morning, buddy. How are you? Also, I want to mention this. Last week, I talked about the concept of coming up with a Mike Avery Outdoors signature Rapid River knife. I talked to Chris at Rapid River. He is all in. So we're going to do it. We are going to, I'm just trying to figure out which knife I want. I think I want to do a knife like this one, the Uper Pocket Clip, but with a very distinctive handle. I would like it to be a combination of acrylic and bright red. So, how much, John? 3 minutes, thank you. Something to really set it aside. It would be a limited edition signature knife. The proceeds, part of the proceeds of the sale, I won't make a dime on it, and Chris says he's willing to cut into his profits. The proceeds from the knife would go to some organization that I haven't quite figured out yet. More than likely a veterans organization, and hopefully a veterans organization involved in the outdoors. So the knife is not available yet because we haven't even decided which one to make, but it looks like there will be a limited edition, signature edition of Rapid River knives with proceeds going to a veterans organization to get vets involved in the outdoors. So, and this is based on your response to my bringing up this trial balloon last week. Jeff, good morning. How are you? Craig says, hey, Johnny, please call me sometime this evening after 6. Those two guys are plotting something. Outdoor Driven is on my radar screen, Corey. Outdoor Driven is certainly on my radar screen. In fact, I talked to Andrew yesterday, and he said, Mike, are you still taking, there we go, the old thumbs up on Facebook. Are you still taking a group of veterans out on the water this summer? And I said, absolutely I am. Mike says, a wonderful gesture, Mike. Thank you, Mike Critchfield, for that. And it's not, it accomplishes a couple of things. I've wanted my own signature knife from Rapid River for a while, but I just didn't want to make it look too self-serving. 60 seconds. Well, now, if we actually use part of the proceeds and give to somebody else and I don't make any money on it, I think it's a win-win. So, yeah, I think we're going to do that. Craig said, I think Michelle will keep your bear blind warm for you. Excellent. I hope so. And I hope Johnny Bowler, the bear whisperer, gets her a bear. Whisperer gets her a bear. As he did for me in just one day. 30 seconds. All right, so I didn't even get a chance to talk about some of the topics, but we will. I hope to be back tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. It'll depend on how the game's going. If it's a nail biter, I might do a quick Wednesday Night Live from the field. And I will not be back next Wednesday night because that is high school graduation for two. I thought you didn't even like turkey hunting, Corey. Blast off. I think, Corey, if you're out there hunting in a thumb, you will be... Well, we need a Mike Avery fillet knife, fishing rod. Actually, Chris Durson suggested that I do a whole series of Mike Avery outdoor knives, from a pocket knife to a fillet knife to a gutting knife. You know, I said let's do one step at a time. Right? We'll do one knife, nice knife first. Corey, I bet you're hunting with I can't think of his name. Primal Pro Staffer. He's been on the podcast many times. All right, my friends, let me clear my head here for just a second. I'll see you tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. Indeed, this is a radio show. I've been doing it for a long, long time. I've been doing this show for a long time before podcasts were even in existence. I mean, radio, right? The original mass communication, the form of mass communication, been around for a long time, still extremely viable today, and I'm glad to be able to join you each week on radio stations across this great state of Michigan. And yes, this is a Michigan-based show. I'm a Michigan guy, born in Michigan. My career has been here in Michigan, and I'm on Michigan radio stations. So yeah, the topic of the discussion primarily are going to be Michigan-related. And as I look at the rundown this week, I think they are all indeed Michigan-related. So what is going on in your world? Well, as I'm sitting here in the studio, my head's itching a little bit. I got a little sunburn up there. I thought I was going to be able to keep my head from peeling this year because, you know, I do shave my head. I got a bald head. I think that I will be unsuccessful once again in my quest. Every spring, I say the first good burn. I'm not going to let it be a good burn. I'm going to be smart and remember to put a hat on because I really don't like to wear hats. But I'll put a hat on to keep my head from burning so bad that it peels. I thought I was successful until I sit here scratching my head in the studio and I realize there's skin coming off of my fingernails. Anyway, don't be stupid like Avery. Be smart. And unfortunately, I say unfortunately, but it's not the case. My sunburn is not from being out on the water of Saginaw Bay walleye fishing because the walleye fishing out there right now is on fire, or so I've heard. I'm still waiting to get out there. My sunburn comes from being on the golf course because I'm waiting for a boat, and then the next day being at a softball game down by Detroit with my granddaughter Addison, and then the following day being on the golf course again. But fishing season is indeed coming. I also have not been out in the turkey woods. I know this is disappointing to hear because it's disappointing to say it as well. But it's been a very interesting, very busy spring. I actually have two of my grandkids are graduating from high school this spring. And that takes up a lot of time with ceremonies and parties and stuff. And it's wonderful. I'm more than happy. In fact, I'm excited for these things. It's exciting to watch these kids grow up from babies to now young adults and get ready to jump out in their own life and do their own thing, basically for the first time. So it's very exciting and it's wonderful to watch from the outside. Well, Not really from the outside, but you know what I mean. Trent, the goal is to get my oldest grandson, Trent, a turkey this spring. We've been limited because Trent has been out of town. And when he got back in town, I realized that schedules were conflicting and we couldn't get out in the turkey woods. Not yet. In fact, we were going to turkey hunt last Sunday, and I went, "Oh, I can't turkey hunt Sunday, Trent. That's Mother's Day." And my wife Denise said, "Oh no, go turkey hunt with Trent." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to turkey hunt with Trent on Mother's Day. What do you want to do?" She said, "Let's go golfing." So we went golfing instead of turkey hunting. We get out to about the number 5 green, and I hear a bird gobble off in the distance. I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." But unfortunately, that stupid bird gobbled the entire afternoon. I got to hear him gobble all afternoon while I was on the golf course. We get to the 17th green, and he walks across the green as we're approaching it. He even puffed up and strutted for me, just as a reminder of, Avery, how stupid you are that you're not in the turkey woods today. But that's all right. As much as I don't like the mosquito season, the second part of May, it is indeed a very productive time to hunt. And when our schedules finally get back in sync here, and Trent's got a couple days and I've got some time to get out there, which will hopefully be sometime this weekend, maybe we can take advantage of the fact that the birds are so much more cooperative. The mosquitoes are out there, yes. It's sometimes miserable sitting in a blind because it's warm, yes. But the birds are more cooperative. The hens are sitting on nests. Toms are much more likely to respond to a call. They're very vocal, which is my kind of hunt, a vocal hunt where the birds will gobble and maybe respond and come in. So we'll see. We will try to get that done. Fawns, whitetail fawns are dropping now across the state. Aren't they the cutest, most cuddly little thing you've ever seen? Don't you just want to pick them up and hug them? Don't. It's a bad idea for so many reasons. Number one, it's illegal. You can't pick up, you can't take a whitetail fawn home. But I have to because it's abandoned by the doe. No, it's not abandoned. If you see a whitetail fawn, it hasn't been abandoned. The mother is standing by there somewhere, and she will come back and take care of the animal. It's not up to you as a human to intervene in Mother Nature and make sure that fawn survives. As I say, it's illegal, and it's just a bad idea. How can you, taking a fawn home, and even if you get them to live illegally, how is taking them out of their natural environment good for the fawn? I can see one situation where it makes sense to pick up a fawn and move it, and that is if you're running a hay bind, like we used to when I was a kid, in a hay field, and you see a fawn curled up there, and you're going to run over it, yes, stop the tractor, get up, pick up the fawn, and move it. But don't take it home. Don't try to raise it. Well, what if you see a doe that's been hit by a car on the side of the road, and she's giving birth to the fawn? Shouldn't we take that home and raise it? No. Let things take their course. Well, what if a coyote eats it? Well, okay. Is it better for that animal to be part of Mother Nature in this whole circle of the way things work out, or for you to illegally pick it up because you want to do good? I get that. You want to do good. But you're not doing good by picking up a fawn and taking it home. So just don't do it. And every year I get people who say, Avery, you're so cold-hearted. Oh, I don't think I'm cold-hearted. Maybe in this situation I am, but no, just don't do it. Let's see, the NRC last week voted to allow youth hunters, liberty hunters, to be able to take antlered deer. MUCC is pretty much taking credit for this. It was part of their, it was a resolution from their convention several weeks ago. I can see both sides of this. I was somebody who was supporting a does only youth hunt to take the social pressure off the hunt. But most of the hunters in Michigan did not agree with me, and they made their thoughts known to the NRC, and the NRC responded. Holy cow. Is that not interesting that the NRC responded? Now, you could come back and say, well, look it. The NRC should not be listening to hunters unless it's based around sound scientific wildlife management practices. But there was no, from what I don't see there was anything scientific about this decision at all. It was purely a political decision. They tabled the decision to take action on the year-round coyote hunting. And I understand this was because it was a procedural thing, and they tabled it so they could come back and pick it up at a future meeting as old business. I'm not really sure how that works, but I was told don't get too mad at them this time because it was the way that it should be done. Hey, I'm working with Chris Durson at Rapid River Knives. What's this sound right here? What is this sound? That's my Rapid River knife locking back open. I just took it out of my pocket. I'm working with Chris on a Mike Avery Outdoors signature knife. Now, this is something I've wanted to do for a while, but I didn't want it to be too self-serving, like, look at me, I'm promoting me, look at me, look at me. So what we're going to do is part of the proceeds from this knife will go to a veterans group, and I'm hopefully a veterans group that is outdoor related. The ball is in my court right now. We're just trying to figure out what knife to do. I think I want it to be a Uper pocket clip knife, but I want a very unique handle on it. I'm thinking a very bright red, blood red, and acrylic handle that is very noticeable. So that is at work behind the scenes. Keep an ear out here when those hit the market. If you want to buy one and help us out, I would appreciate that very much. Speaking of helping us out, the second annual Mike Avery Outdoors Charity Golf Outing scheduled for Friday, July 25th. Go to mucc.org/golf to sign up. Coming up on this week's show after the break, Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer. It is time to apply for your Michigan Bear tag. He'll also talk about fishing for brook trout in the UP. Then Keel Jorgensen from Woods and Water News, talking about their upcoming edition. In our second hour, Joel Anderson of Port Huron talks about fishing big water on that side of the state. Then Lisa Jackson with the details on how the Michigan bear and elk drawings work, the application process, and it is different. And then in hour number 3, we'll talk about whitetail fawns and more with Chad Stewart of the DNR. And, of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website is mikeaveryoutdoors.com, and my email address is mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. All right, my friends, have a good day. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you tonight, I think, at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. In the meantime, have a great day.